Tuesday. Are you relieved that the moves are happening very quickly now in terms of the diplomatic front?
Yes, absolutely. It has been later than I wanted to, but it is hopefully that things will move positively. It's clear that Mr. Gaddafi has committed gross and systematic violations of the right to life. In addition, his regime is committing serious crimes against humanity, and his regime has failed to protect Libyan lives. It is now the responsibility of the UN and the international community, including the US, to protect Libyan lives. And we want more than just statements. We want actions. We want actions in terms of sending fact-finding missions to investigate these murders, and also also interference of the Libyan regimes in the delivery of medical help. There was interference against
indeed. Well, fact-finding missions for the moment, sir. Fact-finding missions for the moment. Fact-finding missions are going to be difficult considering the situation that practically nobody is allowed in the country. So if we just again focus in on the fact that now you've got the United Nations Security Council talking in around about 11 hours from now, as the United States has gone to bed. North Africa is waking up, as is the Middle East. You have the Arab League, who are going to be meeting an emergency session on Tuesday. Now, some Arab nations are already having their own problems within this region. Do you think the Arab League can help in any way? And as an observer, who would you look to within the Arab community to try and open dialogue with Mr. Gaddafi?
Well, the Arab League, it's just it is the same thing. These are corrupt dictatorships. It's going to be the case of the fox guarding the hen house. It is what we need is a UN to be there on the ground, and that's what we need. We need the British heavily involved. We need the US heavily involved. We have a lot at stake. We need protection to the Libyan people. I'm not sure the Arab League or any Arab country has the moral authority or would be transparent enough to help Mr. Gaddafi, to help the Libyans, overcome the brutality of Mr. Gaddafi.
Okay, that's the politics over with. Let me ask you, who have you been speaking to in recent hours in Libya, where and what have they been saying about the situation on the ground?
Well, the situation on the ground is dire. There is in the city of AlJazeera, which is 20 kilometers east of Tripoli, there are reports of rapes against women by these mercenaries whom Mr. Gaddafi hired. There is a shortage of food, particularly bread and flour. There is a shortage of bottled water because the tap water is literally non-drinkable. It is just used for wash, etc. There is air assaults against unarmed civilians. There are burning of homes. There's a total massacre against Libyan peaceful civilians. One story I heard in the Green Square that as the peaceful demonstrators were chanting against Gaddafi, 35 of Gaddafi's thugs came and chanted against Gaddafi. They let them in, and then they just started firing randomly against innocent civilians with machine guns. There was blood in the words of one bystander. There was blood all over the street. It's just a frightening moment. People are just living. They were told to shut their homes because the mercenaries are roaming the streets, shooting people and attacking homes and raping women. If this is not crimes, these are not crimes against humanity. I don't know what it is. The world really needs to speak up. Libya is more than a country with a pond of oil. It sits on top of an oil pond. Libya is a great country with peaceful people. We need help.
Okay, well, we shall see what help Libya is given in the coming hours. For the moment, Mohammed AlJazeera, thanks very much for joining us from Boston. Well, as we've been reporting, the United Nations Security Council is due to hold a closed-door session on Libya later on Tuesday. Most regional governments have stayed quiet on the subject of violence in the country, but the Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani says the international community must act now.
I feel a big sympathy for the Libyan people. We don't accept using the force in this way or any way against the people or against any nation from their governments. And we make our declaration in this basis. We think that the international community should also take a stand against what's happening in Libya at the moment. I think Security Council have to play a role, and also we have the condemnation is not enough because we see the international community taking serious action against less problem. I think the 5 permanent member and the others, they should take the responsibilities and do something to help the civilian people in Libya, because what happened is not accepted by any way or any reason. We are in Qatar, feel that the Arab League has to take something. I'm glad that there will be a meeting tomorrow held in Egypt for that reason, and that also will be part of the pressure in the Libyan governments that they have to stop using ammunitions and guns and machine guns and airplanes against the people.
Well, David Owen is a former British Foreign Minister and a member of the upper house of the British Parliament. He spoke to Al Jazeera earlier and explained what needed to be done to curb the crisis.
I think it is absolutely vital that the Security Council meet in emergency session in New York tonight and pass a resolution to declare the situation in Libya as a threat to the peace under the UN Charter, and under Article 7 take mandatory action. And I believe they should declare a no-fly zone for military aircraft over the whole of Libyan airspace.
How do you explain the response, or I should say lack of it, from the UN so far?
One of the problems is that too many countries are deeply compromised from what their attitudes have been previously to Libya. So that's one factor. Also, I think there is a reluctance to involve a condemnation of military action in case countries which they might favor in other parts of the region might wish to take military action and clamp down. But this is a regional reaction. But in Libya, we know now this is a secular action taken as a response to 42 years of oppression under Colonel Gaddafi, and now a situation when it is proven that orders have been given to use the Libyan Air Force to attack protesters. We have the evidence in Malta of 2 senior colonels of the Libyan Air Force. We also have reports of aircraft already being used. There are reports coming in tonight